So the other things, like I said from the beginning, we had some people that I noticed on the chats on Tuesday and Thursday was asking some basic questions about how to find links, how to put links into a page, how to create a new page, how to copy pages. Um, so that's one of the things we're going to do. And as I said, I have not done my scorpion page, I mean my salmon page yet. So we are going to be working on that. So the way you want to do that is you want to create a new page. And if you look up here, you have where it says new. If you just click on the new button, it's automatically going to create a post, which is going to go on your home page. You don't want to do that. Okay. So lost my train of thought. Where was I? Sorry.
Oh,
So you
start a
don't,
new
yeah,
page.
yeah, you don't want to just click new because it's going to do a post. You want to make sure that you scroll down and click on page. That way it goes into your page cycle and you can actually put it in a category. Post cannot be put in categories. So I've had people call, text me and email me and Skype me and say, hey, how do I move my post into a page? You can't. You have to actually copy it, put it in a page, and then remove it off of a post, which means put it in trash or and then delete it after 30 days. So always make sure you click on page and that it actually shows page. So once you do that, and the way you can look at it is when you look in your address bar at the top, it says page. So if you ever are here and at the end of it, it says post, automatically close out of it. So you want to automatically close out of it and then go back and make sure you hit page because you want to make sure this tag at the end says page. And if you're copying and pasting a page from one site to another, you want to make sure you always add the title first before you hit copy. So that's the key. And the reason you want to make sure that you have that title first before you paste any information over is because the computer and the programming will assign it a computer generated title and it'll look like HTML code. And then you have to go in and change it everywhere that that title would appear in, which is your slug, your URL, everywhere. So always make sure you add your title first before you paste or copy anything over. Um, just some basic information there. So right now, I know I'm going to be talking about salmon. So I want to see what is going to be a good key phrase. So I did some research this morning. So I pulled up my Jaxie and I did just the word salmon to see what shows up, what would be a good keyword for salmon. And then I also did wild salmon to see what shows up there. So this seems to be just the word wild salmon. It's normal. But then here, what is wild salmon is a good one if you want to do that. But then it kind of veers off to different things that doesn't really pertain to what I want to talk about. So I have this option here, which sounds pretty good. What is wild salmon, or just word wild salmon? It's pretty good. But then if I just go here to salmon, um, it reverts back, even though people look at it and say, oh, this is a great key phrase, just the word salmon, but you are competing with 223 other websites. Um, that's not a really good ratio, especially if you want to get on those first 5 pages. So then the other thing you can look at is salmon recipes. Even though you're going to be giving recipes out, um, you still can give them pertinent information about the salmon and the salmon that company that you're working with. So here's one for salmon recipes oven. Even though it's got good content, there's no way I can make a sensible sentence with that because I know me, I'll add the correct grammar in there. And that's not the key phrase. When you change the key phrase here, it changes the search pattern. So that's the good thing about when you're looking for key phrases, make sure that you can create good content with it. Salmon patties, I grew up eating salmon patties. Grilled salmon recipes is another one. Best salmon recipes, and then easy salmon recipes. So I can make something with easy salmon recipes. I'm not, trust me, I can find something on there. So I'm going to actually put that in there as a title. And so I'm going to come up here and put okay. So I'm going to put that in there. And then I'm going to do some research. So I did some research, and I'm going to talk about here. All right. So right from the beginning, I'm letting you know that we're going to do some easy salmon recipes, but they're not always easy. You know, just give some basic information. That's all me. And then I'm going to come here and do click on my link, because I told them, hey, if you want to go ahead and get started, here's where you go. And I'm just going to click this whole thing right here, because y'all know me, I like to do link phrases instead of just words. And we're going to open it in a new tab and then submit. Always bold it. Okay, so there's that. Now I'm going to start building my page on salmon. So what is some of the things I want to talk about for salmon? Let's look at some salmon facts. So again, what is wild salmon? That could be a good key phrase. So I'm going to come here, and I'm
You
going to,
should put
yes,
the picture of the bear catching the salmon. You go, well, that's one way to catch it, but I'm
exactly.
sorry.
That's the things you can use. That would be a great way to make a meme with that picture. Promise you. I haven't even started looking at salmon catching or salmon fishing, because I can imagine the memes that's going to come out of that. That would be a great one to use.
I
Because
just saw the picture of the bear and I just went,
yep,
oh man.
yep,
Okay, I'll
great.
shut up now.
You're fine. So, and then right here I can say, you know, what is So I want to make sure that this is a title. I put it as a paragraph, but I want to make it a heading, and I want to make it a heading too. We can do a heading too. So what are some of the other things about I want to do? Let's do another heading for, and I don't want it to be, yeah, we can do another heading too. Nutritional facts about salmon. And then you always want to make sure you include your key phrase. And since this one's going to be kind of long, I want to make sure I center it so it doesn't take up my whole space. And then I'm going to do another one right here. We're going to do another heading. That one there is going to be talking about that. And so here we're going to do all right. And again, here's another one you can use, the cross market. So those are going to, excuse me, those are going to be my headlines. So now I have a direction in where I want to go. And again, you can come in here, and if you want to, from the beginning, just go ahead and colorize your headlines if you want to. Let's get that a little bit darker. Here we go. Let's get that one a little bit darker too. And I want this one a little bit redder. There we go. All right. And then I'm going to save my draft. So then I'm going to come here for my Wikipedia searches and see, and I'm going to type in wild salmon. Wild salmon facts. And there's sockeye.
I think the one with environmental, because aren't some people a little nervous about,
Yep.
like, oh, there's no more salmon in the sea, and blah, blah, blah. But the water is polluted. And so I just thought, I know that's what I think about. And it was also a good question you answered, I think it was last week, about fresh frozen stuff. People go, oh, frozen, oh no. But the point of, it's how long it's been frozen.
Right.
That answer was good.
So this isn't giving me, I want to do wild Alaskan. Well, salmon and vat pot. And see, I want to do, so wild captures reported. This is one of the salmons that they have on the website. You can actually get this coho, because I had never heard of a coho salmon. So it was something I was like, oh, I got to research that. There's the sockeye. So you see here's some pictures. There's the coho salmon. So yeah, perfect. I need to do that. So that's not giving me what I want. Let's do different wild salmon versus farm. There we go. Perfect. Here's one right here. Wild caught salmon. So I'm going to put that, copy that, put that in my site. And I think I'm going to do a classic. And I'm just going to paste this information here. And then let's see what else we can find. All right, here's some pros and cons. I'm just going to open up this site and see what this person says, which we already did. I think what I'm going to do is just copy this whole thing. And I'll come back and modify it if it will let me. All right, page is still loading, so it's not letting me do much. My computer really needs to be cleaned. I don't want to read about omega, although my husband takes omega vitamins every day. All right, so see, there's the farm. That doesn't look very healthy. I might actually have to include that picture.
Why do you say it doesn't look healthy? Because it's caged in?
Yeah.
I mean, it's still in water, salt water, right?
Not necessarily. That's one of the things they were talking about is that the stuff that they put in the water or that they feed the fish is always processed. It's not always healthy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. That's one of the things we were talking about the other night was the farm raised. They have so many different chemicals that they use in the food that it changes it.
Gotcha.
Where did you go? Okay, so there's that. Like I said, I'll probably come back and add, I'll go ahead and put this, but let me see what else is in here. That, see, here's the contaminants. See, look, farm raised has a higher risk of contaminants from toxic cancer-causing chemicals like PCPs.
That's terrific.
Yep. Also, there's a fact that, and I got to find out where Matt got it from. He talked about it on the wine train, the wine call Wednesday, is that per capita, we eat more imported salmon from China than we do from Alaska. And most of the salmon that's coming from the other countries are farm raised. Most of the Alaskan salmon is being exported to these other countries because it's a better quality fish. They make more money. So I need to put that. That's one of the things. That's why I said I got to find that. So that's one of the things right here I'm going to put in here. Now, like I said, I'll go back and modify this. And so that's just from one site. You can do more research and find different sites that you can get more information on. So I'm just going to read this later and put this in here. We're just going to be constructing a page. So here's another one that I found about nutritional information about the salmon. So let's go nutritional facts and benefits. We're going to look at this. This will be a great picture to use. But we will look and see salmon nutritional facts. Proteins, vitamin, and minerals. And by the time I get finished with it, it's not going to look like this. So I'm actually going to copy this information here. What is wrong with my page today? I can get rid of that. I can get rid of Jaxie.
Sheila, that statistic that you were wondering about is on the company web page.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm going to use this information. I'm not going to go all the way down to allergies. Like I said, I'm going to be modifying all this information and take out what I don't want, add what I do want. And I'm just going to come here. And do a paragraph and paste. Okay. And then the recipes. Most people drink white wine with fish. You can actually have red wine. I was actually watching the Food Network this morning, and they were showing this company how they process cheese. It's one of the most one of the high-end cheese factories. I forgot where they were at, and they were showing you how they process their award-winning cheese. And at the end of it, they ask them, well, what do you recommend that you have with your cheese? And honest to God, the lady come out and said, well, I sit down with my cheese with some great wafer crackers and a glass of red wine. I was like, I so need that. I was like, there you go. So I'm going to see if I can go to the Food Network and get a copy of that video and edit that part and put it on here somewhere. But it was just amazing how they were talking about that, including wine. I think there was another one they had on there, the Salsa Brothers. They were showing you how they made their habanero salsa. And that's one thing, they sat down with it and they had some chicken and beef and the salsa and their tortilla chips, and they both had red wine sitting there eating it after the show. So it's just amazing. Wine goes with everything. It seems like these days everybody's drinking it. So I'm going to come here and hit Save Draft. And then, as you can see, I have no images. I don't want images. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and take out anything that I don't want, which is going to be these images here, because I'm going to put my own. These could be quotes from somebody. I just don't want them there. Anything that's highlighted that's going to be a link, I want to take it out. So I'm going to break these links because I don't want it to go to any page but the page I want it to go to. Okay. And as you can see, this is in a list, and it has the dots. So I might want to just come here and change these the numbers. So that changes it. How it looks, it's not always the same. So when you're copying things, that's one of the things you want to make sure that you do, is that change it up from where you copied it from. If they have it as dots, you can put it as, numbers, or you can put it in a series like calories, comma, fat, comma, or semicolon, however you want to do it, just make it look different. So some of these things right here is like carbs and fats and proteins. You can actually put these all together if you wanted to. All right, so like this one actually has a 1 which has a quote in it, or not. It has a reference where you can actually see where they got the information from. Because I'm going to be paraphrasing all this, I'm not going to include that. So let me go through and break all these links. Okay, and I'll save the recipes for last. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to come through and try to modify some of this. So let's look and see what our word count is. So right now we have over 1,000 words. Okay, that does not necessarily mean we're going to end up with 1,000 words, because we are going to be significantly modifying this information. I'm going to be combining some stuff, take some stuff away. So let's go back and finish doing this. Take these out. Okay, I want to break this.
I think you're clicking on the wrong one.
Yep, I just noticed that. I was like, why isn't it going anywhere? I was adding a link that had taken it off. I was like, it's not going anywhere. Frustrating. All right. So there's that. So now it loves my readability, but now I'm gonna go here and go ahead and work on my SEO. So I know my key phrase is gonna be easy salmon recipes. And you notice I got it all in lowercase, and you want to have it in lowercase because however it shows here, that's exactly how it has to show up there. So if you start with capitalization, then you have to use it in capitalizations everywhere you use it. If you use it in lowercase, then when you use it in capitalization, it doesn't change the content because lowercase is the general default program rule of thumb. So that's why I always tell people when they say that it tells them that their key phrase isn't used, go back and look and see how you've set your key phrase up. If you've used your key phrase and it has a hyphen in it, just remember it automatically puts a hyphen in it. So it's not going to see your hyphen and it's going to say you're not using the exact same one. Don't put hyphens in your key phrases if you can help it. Don't use upper cases in your key phrase, even if you are using a proper noun. Don't use uppercase. Always use lowercase. It just makes it easier. So there's that. So here's my meta description. And since I already know what I'm going to be talking about, I'm going to go ahead and change this. All right, so you see it went to orange. That tells me right there it's too long. People's not going to read it. So now I'm just going to go back and tweak this a little bit. There we go. There you go. So see, I put my idea back in there about it being better and healthier. So get yours delivered to your door. Yours. There we go. So there's that. I'm going to close that. And then we can look at our snippet editor. Even though we haven't really done anything, we're going to look and see what it's telling us from the beginning. We always know we don't have any internal links. I don't have it enough times for my key phrase density. Subheadings, I didn't, which I'm going to change some of the subheadings, and I don't have any images, which is fine. So this is all going to go away as we modify this page. So one of the things I'm going to go ahead and do, since I haven't read any of this.
Hey, Sheila, real
Yes.
quick. I was watching when you did the title of the page and then you did that first paragraph. You didn't copy it as it, because I've had to go back and I thought I had to copy the first paragraph, the first sentence in the paragraph being identical to the title of the page.
No.
And yet it didn't say anything about it. Let it go.
Well, it depends on what you said is your key phrase. I did my key phrase. My key phrase was easy salmon recipes. So I have it started easy salmon recipes, and my key phrase is easy salmon recipes. So usually, yeah, so it depends on how you start it. Sometimes you can't use your key phrase in the beginning, which is fine as long as your other information and your overall is green and green. I know there's a lot of people that stress about that when they get that one little dot that says that their they didn't use their key phrase in the beginning. They used it, but it's not at the beginning. That's fine as long as your overall down here on your Yoast is green and green. You can have an orange dot here. You can have an orange. You can have one red. As long as these two are green, that's fine. What you don't want is to have these orange. Definitely not red. You can have an orange when you're doing SEO in your system if you cannot find any other way to get it fixed. It's just when you go to apply to a Google, look at your orange to green ratio for the pages you've done. If you've done 100 pages and you're getting ready to apply for Google and you go through and you're looking and it's like, oh, I got 9 pages in orange, you're going to get denied because your ratio from orange to overall is still too high. So whatever you have there, you want to make sure that you minimize those oranges. If you have any red at all, they're going to deny you because they will not publish anything with red as an overall score. They don't do it. It's not, it's, you know, there's something wrong with it. They don't like. And it will not get published. Your page won't get published unless you manually publish it on a free ad site, but Google will not let it be searched for people to look for it. So that's one of the things when you're going through Google, go through your site and see how many pages you have in orange. If you have a lot of them, fix it. You know, you don't want, like I said, for every 100 pages that you have, you should have no more than maybe 3 or 4 max. I would say 3 just to be on the safe side. But if you can get them all green and green, it just makes it that much easier for Google to not have to deny you. That doesn't say that they won't, because I've seen and read some websites that I thought should be approved and they weren't. So again, it's up to Google's discretion what's going on with that. All I can say is if you get denied, just keep doing what you're doing, do more advertising out there, make sure your site's getting seen. Check on ClickBank and CJ and make sure you're getting clicks to your site. Check your ad sites that have, you know, demographic that shows you, you know, if you're getting clicks to your link. And see that if you ever go into any of these places and you see zeros all across, you haven't done enough advertising. Even though you've done some, you're not getting it in front of the people that's actually going to click it. Do more advertising. I got one student, he's got over 100,000 ads out there. He does it at least an hour a day. So, you know, that's one of the things I say, once you finish a page, go ahead and advertise that page. Get out there on those free ad sites. If it's no more than 10 minutes a day, as long as it's every day, that 10 minutes, you'll be surprised how many ads you can get out there, especially if you've gotten those templates done. Advertising becomes literally copying and pasting, which is what we all signed up to do, copying and pasting. It's just you got to get some work done to get to that point. Okay. So, you're welcome. So what we're going to do here is go through, and I know one of the things I'm going to do is I want to keep the caught salmon and the raised salmons. And I want to keep those facts in there. Some of this stuff here, I want to get rid of this where they have it bolded. Get rid of the bold. It might not let me since it's copied. There it goes there. And this might be one of those things where I can actually come back in. Okay. So, all right, so what I'm going to do here, it says, what is wild salmon, wild Alaskan salmon? Okay, let's see what the chat says. We'll do. Yep, I'm gonna look on that company site too. I have, like I said, I haven't gone through that yet. I actually got 4 new students this week, so I've been kind of busy. I really got some stuff right here. So, so right here, there, it went straight into the main difference of wild salmon and caught salmon. So I don't want to start there. So I'm going to come down here and actually put in here.
So Sheila, all this information you got off the all this right here, you got off the information page of Alaskan salmon?
I got it from different sites.
Okay.
Yep, I just looked up wild salmon and pulled up one of the sites that was there that had the difference between caught salmon and wild farm salmon, and found some information that I liked. Now what I'm doing, and then I went to nutritional facts for salmon, pulled up a website on that and pulled some information from there based on the flow chart that I created, because I already had my topics that I wanted to talk about in the page. So that made it easier for me to construct my page on what I wanted to do.
Okay,
The last
and
thing
then
I'm
you're
going
going back, go
Yep.
ahead.
And so now, based on the stuff I copied over, because it's a copy, remember, but it's also research. So now I'm going to go back through and read some of the stuff that I've copied over and put it in my own words and organize it. Like, you know, even though these are great facts, based on my train of thought and the way I want my page to flow, I don't want them to automatically start talking about the main difference about it. I want to talk about, you know, maybe put this one up here, you know, that salmon's chock full of healthy fats, and then talk about the different species of fats. And then talk about maybe that there is a difference between the farm raised and stuff, and then go up here and say, okay, but the main difference is, so, and then rearrange this talking about things. So that's a good thing about when you copy and edit a page. Usually I read it first before I copy and edit it, but since this is a training class, I'm just going to show you how I go about and getting the information, because I'm not real big on fish at all. But, you know, salmon, I do remember, like I said, I grew up on salmon patties. We had it once a week, every week. My mom fixed salmon patties. So
Okay.
I know about that. And I remember going to the grocery store, picking it up, coming home. Actually, she bought it in a can.
Yes, yes, along with the mackerel. I know exactly what you're talking
you
about.
know, the only fresh fish we had was when Papa went fishing, and he'd bring it back.
Yep.
And I remember him cleaning it out on the picnic table and Grandma going in and frying it up. So
Yep.
that's about it as far as my fish thing goes. I still go fishing with my husband, but we do the catch and release because he doesn't eat fish. So
Wow. Okay.
his is all about bragging rights. So yeah. So that's one of the things that I do is I do my research, and then information that I know based, like I said, I always do my research on key phrases or keywords that gets me my title. And then from my title, then I decide what I want to talk about in my page. And then I do my draft, and my draft is going to be, I always do my topics. What do I want to talk about? What is wild Alaskan salmon? You know, what's some of the nutritional facts about salmon? And then I'm going to sum it up with, you know, because I'm talking about recipes. Here are some great recipes, you know, quick, easy recipes for salmon. And one of them, I'm going to put Mama Salmon Patty recipe on there. I'm going to talk about how to grill a salmon, because I've done that before, and then maybe show how to do an oven salmon, or maybe even do some sockeye or something like that, some other kind of fish that would, you know, that's related into the salmon family. And then, you know, so now I have my thought process. So when it goes to looking for actual information, I have a direction to go. So some of you, you know, are like, well, I can't remember how, you know, how to even start a page. Start with the topic. We all have these same topics. You know, you should have Sephora. Sephora, you get your link from your instructor, and you should be able to go in there and start reading about that. They have some great information on their page. I just haven't had a chance to read. So we're going to work. I'm not going to be able to do all of it today, but I'm going to do a lot of it. And then what I do is after I've copied that one paragraph or put it into my own words, I get rid of it because I don't want to confuse myself. So, so I'm going to show you how I do that. So I'm going to be quiet for a minute, but just bear with me. Please mute yourself, whoever. I can hear a lot of movement.
Oops.
And Sheila, when you're doing a new page, does it automatically default to classic or you have to choose classic?
You have to choose classic. It automatically defaults to block. You have to choose classic.
And if you don't choose it before you start typing, it's going to stay in block then?
Yep.
Ah.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I have another question though.
Mhm.
When you're doing the new page, you know, before you even type a title, you have to choose classic from the beginning?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, no, when you type your title right here,
Mhm.
you don't get the option to choose that. But after you do your title and you want to start writing, if you just start writing, it automatically puts it in paragraph block. So if you want to start after you do your title, you hit your plus sign, and then you're going to get your drop down, and then you have to choose, hey, I want to start in classic to do classic.
Ah,
If you don't do that, it automatically is going to put you in a paragraph block.
okay, that's
Because
why I've been going wrong.
Yep, that's your default. So that's why sometimes I start at paragraph, sometimes a paragraph, sometimes I do classic. Especially if I want to start off with a picture or an image at the beginning, then I can do that. You know, I can always come back and say, okay, I want to put this in classic and I want an image here at the end of this so they can see it. So that's one of the things you can do is after you structure your page, then you can come back and see where you want to change things, where you want to put something different. Um, uh, you know, so here's one of the things that I did. You see, I took that one paragraph out because I already finished it. So here's where I'm going to start talking about. So I talked about salmon, talked about, you know, that the different types. So now I'm going to talk about what is it? Higher in.
When you get a chance, go back and fix your do. I guess that is beauty.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know, that was, I'm going, D.
It got me too.
I think that
Which?
do is supposed to be but. Is it but on the downside of that?
Yep, there you go.
Yeah, but on the downside.
I miss but on the
Yeah.
downside of that, farm-raised salmon also contains a higher dose of omega-6, which is the cause of inflammation, which is, this is what it says right here. Okay, so I'm going to take this out because I've already used this information. And I don't need to know about all of this. That's something that's not important. I just want the basic facts. I'm taking that out.
Okay.
Okay. So that's why I said when you go and read, you copy what you can and then take out what you don't need. I'm not going to talk about all of that. They can always research it. I just want the basic facts that I want to use on here on my page. I don't want, if I, like I said, it's already started out at over 1,000 words. If I can reduce it, I want to. So let's see, I think this is, so
Hey, Sheila, is there a too many words?
no, as long
Okay.
as you have the correct subheadings, you can never have a page too long. But then again, you want to look at your flesh score. Your flesh score on your readability will tell you if you have a flesh score that's in the 60s. You might want to, even though to give you a green, that's still kind of low. People may not read a long page. So that's why I say you want your information to be short and concise, but still relative enough that they don't leave scratching their head and they're more confused than when they got there.
Right.
So that's one of the things. You can't have a page too long, but I always say, if you get to more than, 12 to 1,500 words in a page and you're still going, that's a good clue that, hey, maybe I need to do a series.
Maybe drag it
And
on.
yeah, instead of just keep talking and talking, stop your topic, make sure, and then start another, page on the next set of topics that you want to talk about.
Okay. All right.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
All right. So
Can I ask you
now,
another question?
Uh-huh.
Now, if I've got several pages that are in draft, but they're all in block style. Now I'm realizing they're all in block style because of the fact I never clicked on the plus to change it to classic. I'm thinking that, since I haven't started correcting anything or doing anything, I can go back and they're in classic. So in cases like that, can I delete those pages and just redo them and start,
no, you don't want
to.
you don't need to change it. You don't need to delete it. I can show you how to do that here. Say like, for instance, this right here is all in classic. And say I want to stop right here. And I'm going to copy this information and delete it from here. And then I'm just going to open up a new block and just create a paragraph block and then paste that information in there. So that's one of the ways you can do it.
So
And
is it changing it to classic though?
yeah. So now this is classic. This is in classic. This is in block.
Okay,
So-
hold on 1 second. I'm not registering that. I'm sorry. What you copied, when you put it back in, it changed to classic.
No, I chose classic. So I'll show you this one. So this one's in paragraph, right?
Right.
So say I decide I want to put this in classic block and not paragraph, right?
Right.
So
Mhm.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this whole paragraph,
Right.
okay? Then I'm going to open up another block. Come down here to my plus, and I'm going to choose classic.
Oh, you can, and once you put it, you decide to open up another block, you can choose
Yep.
what you want it to be from
Yep.
that point.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I'm going to paste here. Well, there's my page, my paragraph, and then I'll come up here and remove this one because I don't want two of the same. And then all of a sudden I have a new paragraph and it's in classic.
Okay, but
So that-
I'm looking, thinking that it's still in block because it's coming up in a square
Yeah.
thing. So,
Yeah,
okay.
it's still classic is a block, but now it works just like a classic page, but now it's a block, it's individualized. So instead of getting rid of all that, then just go through and see which paragraphs or paragraph that you want to convert to block or classic, and then you just do that. Click on your plus sign, choose classic block, and then copy and paste whatever you want to in classic, and then remove it from the other blocks. You don't want your whole page in classic. So if you notice, whenever I write, I mix and match blocks formats. That just gives me makes my page different. It makes it look a little bit better, you know, from other people's. So that's one of the things you want, is you want your pages to look different. You don't want them to be the same as everybody else's. So that's how you can manipulate your block styles to make your page more unique to your writing style. You don't
Okay,
want
I've always thought that if you change it to one, you could never go back and
Oh,
change it. But
no,
with the
you
two-
can, yeah, you can go back and change it. Just remember, if you have a page that's in classic format, which is the one we had way before, and you
Mhm.
go and change it to block format, you can't go back to classic format because that's an obsolete program. So that's why we have classic block now. That's part of the block program. So no one going forward should have any pages in classic format. Blanche, you might have a few because
got
you
a
came
lot
in
of
when I came in. So if you change those to your whole page to block format, then no, you can't go back to classic format, but you can always go back to classic block in any page.
Okay, I
Okay.
think I got you. Well, starting from this point on, then I know what to do.
Yep, there you go. So so now I'm going to come here, and this is quite a few words. Just remember, they want Google wants a title or a header about every 150 words. If you get to like 300 words and you don't have a header, you're going to get a red dot. So I know this is quite a bit of words. So I'm just going to come here and put a small header. And I am going to do a heading 4 and put farm versus wild. Okay. And then what I'm going to do here is now I can include this information here. Is that right? It looks right. All right, so now I'm going to start here and work on this information here. So you see this is a heading, and I don't know if I want to use this, but I may. We'll see. I might just put it in a sentence. So let's go up here and see what this. says right here. So I'm going to come here and say, and see, here's where I want to make this different, because see, the original text tells me that the wild caught salmon is lower in calories and total fat than the raised salmon. So I want to reverse that. The difference between the two is the raised salmon is higher in calories So I basically said the same thing, just reversed it. So I'm going to get rid of this. And I don't need all these statistics. Don't need that. I'm just putting that fact in there. We already said that the farm raised salmon has more omega-6 than that, so I don't need to put this in here. All right, so here I'm just going to put
So the main key is to get all your information that you want to start out with before doing any editing or anything, or
yeah.
Putting it in. Okay, and putting it on the paper, and then you can see what you're doing.
Exactly, and then you can structure
okay.
it.
Okay, that makes much more sense. And afterward, when you go back up to the wild salmon is healthier choice, is a healthier choice for, is it for your consumption?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, now it's making a little bit more sense to me.
Okay.
And I think every time it comes up, when you hit on something and it comes up in the block again, I'm thinking this is a classic block, but I'm thinking just block.
It's just block. Yeah, it's just a paragraph block.
Paragraph block.
Yep.
Okay, a paragraph block. Okay.
See how I put my topic in here? Quick and easy salmon recipes, because I got to have that in there.
That's your key phrase.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. So now I'm getting to the contaminants. And again, this one has the dots. And sometimes people get where they'll have, they'll get to their SEO and it'll say that there's sentences or 3 or more consecutive sentences that start with the same thing and they can't find it. And they're looking for a word. Guess what? This is considered consecutive sentences because it starts with a dot. So if you ever get that and you're looking and you
Oh
can't
my
find the word,
goodness.
yes, it is. So if you ever get the looking and you can't find where your consecutive sentences is, look and see if you have a listing that has dots. That's why. So I'm going to change this to numbers.
Even the plus signs and the minus signs can be considered
Yes.
consecutive too?
Yes. And
Oh my goodness.
So again, this is where you can change it. And I can say here, a plus, so here's this, and I might not change all of it. They also are, and then I can come here. Can be, and I can put, you know, can, they have it italics. I can change it or unitalicize it and put it in bold, just to stress that this is a negative side. So I didn't do a whole lot of changing, but guess what? It's still changed. It's different from the other one. And I can probably come back in here and rearrange some of these if I want to later. I've done a lot, so I'm going to go ahead and hit Save Draft. And then do the same thing with farm raised. You know, here again, we got dots. That's going to be considered consecutive. I want to change this block to numbers. And again, we're going to start with the negative. Okay. And I can tell you right now, this sentence right here is going to give me a dot that tells me I got more than 20 words in a sentence. So I can come back later after I finish everything and find those sentences, and I might split these up into 2 different sentences.
So in other words, anything that you're doing that's changing it to make it just, you're saying the same thing, but you're putting your own little flair to it, is making it your own. Google
Yep.
don't consider that as being scraping or anything like that.
Yep.
Okay.
Usually, and I take that comma out, usually raised in poor conditions, poor crowded conditions, period. Higher rates of bacteria, parasites, and diseases. So I just made 2 sentences out of that one. All right, so here again. See, here it is. Sometimes hormones are used to promote growth. Also used so there again, I got 5 sentences out of that 1 sentence.
Wow.
So again, it's just how you word it, and it's totally different, even though the same words are there. By me adding things and changing it around a little bit, that's not considered the same. Even though I'm not adding a lot to it, it's not the same content.
Okay.
All right, again, here's another one. Again, I'm going to say it here. Other others do not. Other programs, again, made 2 sentences into 1. And then here, since we had 4 consecutive negatives, I can actually say, yay. And I'm putting it in bold. Okay, so save draft. So there's how we modified half the page. And let's see, we started out with 1,073 words. We actually went up in word content, 1,249. So we've added almost 200 words.
Where did you find that at? Where did you click to get
click
that?
right here. This is your content structure. This little I, and it tells you how many words you have, how many headings you have, how many paragraphs, and how many blocks you used. So basically your page at a glance.
Sheila?
Okay.
Yes.
Hi, hon.
Hey, darling.
How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Hanging in there.
Good.
While you're on your content structure button there, I wanted to ask you, does it really matter when it says incorrect header Google won't care about that, will it?
It depends on if you're using a heading 1 inside your page. That's usually the only time you're going to get that incorrect
Well,
header.
There's one right in there right now for header. I forget what it is.
Heading level. That's because I dropped too far down.
I mean, does it matter?
No.
Because I get that a lot too.
No, because they want you to stay consecutive numbers. Just do a
Okay.
1 drop down. I did 2.
Okay, and so
Yeah.
as long as Google's not going to flag anything like that,
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
just grammar. That's all that is.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right. So now that we've done that, I think that's enough for today. I'm going to show you. There's one more thing I want to show you. So now a lot of people's like, well, how do I get my link? So you're going to go to your Sephora link, your Sephora program, and you're going to go to your campaigns. So when you log in, and you're going to go to your campaigns, and mine, some people open up and say, oh God, it's gone. Where did it go? You go to your in progress. Those are where you are. So you click on your tab for in progress. There are all of your campaigns that you currently have open. You're going to click on your open one for your information, and you're going to scroll until you see your link. You're going to copy your link and then go back to your page. And then it's totally up to you where you want to put your link. You definitely want to put it where you tell people click here or go here or buy now or read more information. You want to make sure you have a link there that they can click to go there, because that's what you're telling them to do. Again, like I said, I always try to use phrases. I don't like one word link. That's just, I just don't. I think it's gets people's attention if they can see a whole phrase instead of I have found. Oh, there's one right there. I need to put I, and that needs to be capital I. And so I'm going to put one here. So you're going to highlight wherever you are. And since I'm in Classic, I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to hit my link or insert link tab. It's going to open up. I'm going to paste it in this link. You're going to come here to the side and hit your settings bar. You're going to make sure you click open in a new tab, update, and that does the whole thing. The good thing about Classic is when you are in Classic, you can change the color of your link. And I want to change that color to red since my title is red. I'm actually going to come here and do some more. So I'm going to put here, enjoy Sakai. Again, I'm going to click link. I'm going to paste, open in a new tab, update, and make sure my color changed and bold it. And then I'm going to do another one. And here we go. Diet versus wild salmon. I want to do wild salmon. Do my link. Paste. Hit my settings. Open a new tab. Update. And color and bold. Now that's for Classic block. Now we're going to go down here in our paragraph block, and we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to use that same one. Wild salmon is healthier, is a healthier choice. Like I said, I do phrases. You're going to click your link. You're going to paste your link in there. You're going to click open in a new tab, and then you're going to hit submit. And then you can bold it. And again, we're going to do it again. Again, I want to do wild salmon. Do my link, paste it, open in a new tab, and then submit and bold. I always like to bold my links, just makes it easier. And then here I'm actually saying Wild Alaskan Salmon Company. That needs to be capitalized, but I'll come back again. I usually don't use company names, but I know this one probably is never going away because it's with one of our new anchors. So I put it in there. I feel comfortable putting that in there right now. Put that in there. All right. And so that's how you put your link in there. And then if you wanted it to do, and I'm going to just come down here for, and this is ones I got to modify. Once I come through here, I'll probably put a bunch of these together and create one. But right here, I'm going to just do
Wouldn't it be fun to put the story of your salmon patties in also when you
yeah, I'm
go
going to
to the
put,
recipe and go, hey, this is how my mom did it.
yep.
And
Yeah, and that's why I said when you do your recipes, you don't want to just have a recipe. It's like, oh, here's a recipe. If you can have a story behind it, it's great. And that's why I said I put this last, because based on the information I put up there, I might only have room for 1 or 2 salmon recipes. So I don't want my page to be too long, but I do want it to make sure it's informative. So yeah, always, if you have a story to go with your recipe, that it's not just cut and dry recipe, here, do this, bake it for this, and blah, voila, you know, that is great. That's what Google wants, is they want that story to go with the recipe. That makes it different and makes it stand out. So here's what I'm going to do. All right. So right there, here's my plug for wine and salmon. So right here, I said, follow me to get more information. And I'm going to click a link. And this is where I'm going to put my internal link. So I'm just going to type in wine, and it will pull up all of my pages that I have for wine. And here it is, Discover Your Perfect Wine. And I'm just going to leave that there. I always open mine in a new tab. You don't have to. I just do. That's just me. So there's my internal link. So just based on what we've done, I'm going to click Save Draft. And you notice I haven't put any images in, and I won't put any images in until after I have my page complete. And the reason you want to do that is because then you know exactly where you want your image to go. If you start putting images in and you haven't finished your modifications, by the time you finish your modifications, then you're going to look and say, oh, that picture doesn't look good there. It doesn't depict what I want to say for that section. So always, images should be the last thing you put in, because then your page is complete. You know exactly what image will look good where because of the content that you've written. Just makes it a lot easier. So see, just based on what I've done so far, I have green and green. My readability, I have 12% passive. It needs to be 10. My flesh score is 61. To me, that's low. I like it to have 65 or higher. but it's still good. It's easy to read. So, but I still got a whole section I haven't even modified yet. So everything looks good. My SEO, let's go and see there. My key phrase density, I still need to use it one more time. It says 5, I only have it, or it says I have it 5, I need to use it 6. I need to put my subheading again. My key phrase needs to be in my subheading. Again, by the time I get finished adding or removing some of those things, that might go away, but it wouldn't hurt to add it again somewhere. And then images, once I do my images, it'll be fine. So again, I've added another 100 words because of, you know, just different things. But I have, like I said, I have a whole section right here from health benefits all the way down, has not been actually starting right here, nutritional facts. So I still have to modify this section. So we're going to save our draft, and I'll probably, like I said, get rid of some of this stuff in here or combine it. Like I can put carbs, fats, and proteins all together and make it one. And then you can have actually put all of these together. I can put carbs and fats together and proteins and vitamins and minerals together. Or just change it all together, you know, healthy benefits or something like that. I don't know. But each one of these we can change or might get rid of some of these headers as we modify. So this page could significantly be different by the time we get back in here. And then I'll be adding my recipes. I have 2 I want to add. One of them, like I said, salmon patties. Then I want to add one for the grilled, or I don't know if I want to do grilled or oven. I'll have to see which one I want to put on there. But for the most part, if I wanted to, I could publish this page and it'll be fine because I know I'm going to come back and modify this. But if I hadn't applied for Google yet, I would not want to publish it because it's not completely modified. But I know I'm going to be working on this page tonight to have it finished. So that's basically how you go and do some basics as far as creating a new page, how you gather your content from your research to draft your page, and how you get your link. So next time we get together, we will actually be going over some other things as far as how to get your images put in there, how to create your images, how to choose your images, and to link them. So that should cover some basic information that you need that like I said, I've heard people say, and I hope it helps you. I know we're running a
Sheila?
little long. Yes.
Oh, I just want to ask a question before you leave this page.
Uh-huh.
Are those footnotes on there?
Yeah, I haven't. Yeah, there's things in here like this one. I'm not going to, this is from my copied information. So this is something I haven't modified yet. I will actually be taking those out.
You'll be taking those out,
Yeah.
okay, instead of adding footnotes for each
Yeah.
one. Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
And the thing about it is unless you are doing a direct quote from a page, you don't need to add those footnotes in there unless you want it. By you modifying that page and putting it in your own words, you shouldn't have to have a footnote. If you are doing a direct quote and say, hey, this, I got this from, or so-and-so says, and you do a direct quote, then you want to put that footnote in there so they can go in and see where you have it. And that's where you would put it down at the bottom of your page, just like you did in English class. But since I'm modifying it from beginning to end and paraphrasing everything, I don't need those footnotes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. So that's that for that class. And there's one other thing I wanted to show real quick. No, we are not having class on the 4th. So next week is the 4th. I will be out at the lake with the family or somewhere.
And you didn't invite us?
My boat can only hold so many. So we will not be having class next Saturday. So y'all enjoy the 4th, be safe. I do want to show you one other thing. I had a student that had a picture that she posted on Facebook, and she was like, how do I get this picture smaller? And it's fairly simple. When you get your image, whatever it is, I'm just going to grab one. So I'm going to change this. My view, I want my images to be icons. change. I don't know why it's not changing. Okay, so there's my image. I don't know why it's not changing. I got to go in there. Oh, I know why. Never mind. Because this is not in my, and there's my detail list. So you have these images and you're like, well, I want to minimize one of them. It's too big for where I want to put it and I want to change it. So depending on what computer you have, you should have an image editor. So if you click on the actual picture, it's going to pull it up in your image file. And so from here, you have some options. You can actually go in and create or edit and create your image. Or you can come over here to the 3 dots and it has resize. And then you can resize your image. The other thing you can do is if you have Canva, you can actually go into Canva and do the same thing. So if I come here to create, I can just edit my image and it has the ratio. And if I want to downsize it, I just grab the edges and downsize. But as you can see, it's cropping my picture. So that's one of the things you don't want to do. So you're like, well, hey, I don't want to get rid of everything, you know, and you can see that it's, you can bring it in just to keep the general content of it, you know, and you see it's changing it, you know, and then you can change it. And then you can come over here and say, hey, I want it, it's rotating it however you want it to look, because sometimes you can get a picture and it's turned upside down or flipped sideways. You can do that and change it. And then you can just save your copy and it saves a copy and it'll ask you where you want to save it as. And then again, you just want to make sure you put it where you want it to go. And Blue Scorpion. And since this is a JPEG file, it's going to show that I don't have any JPEG files. And I'm going to put a number 2 beside it. So I know it's the second file and put small. So I know it's an edited version and save. Now from here, okay, it's saving. So then if you wanted to go and do another one, you can do the same thing. And then you can go actually over here to where it says resize. And then it's going to ask you to find the custom dimensions. And here's where you can actually change it. You can actually come here and change the quality size. You can change the width and the height. This one is a square, so the width and the height's the same. If you want it to be elongated, you can change it, change the height to a smaller number. You know, you see it says maintain the ratio. If I wanted to not maintain the ratio and put this back at 800, you know, and then do a resize copy and see how that's going to look. And then I can actually go to my images and see the resize copy. I don't know where I saved it. Where did I put it? I don't know where I saved it. I saved it somewhere. This isn't where I saved it. It didn't do save as, but that's how you can do it. You just want to make sure that you hit the save as. So if we're going to do,
did you do it on the in the Scorpion 2 or something? Did you do a 2 or something?
Let's see. I'm going to do this and put this as 600. Quality.
The small, it said 2 and small.
And then let's say save resize copy.
Okay.
But I don't think it's giving me the option of where to save it. It should.
Okay.
All right, so there it is, and it's a JPEG, so there, that's why. And I'm going to put 2 and hit save. And then when I go back to my file, and I'm going to come here and look for
still
my logos. And see, there it is.
Okay.
So it changed it. It's a different dimension. So if you look at the number 2, it shows that it's an 800 by 600, so it's narrower. you just have to know what your dimensions are, and that's how it's going to show up for any social media. But like I said, if you are in your social media platforms, they require a certain dimension. Like if you are in Instagram, it has to be at least a 1300 dimension. If you're in Facebook, it has to be at least a 960 pixel. So most of the time when I'm in Canva, I create most of my images for Instagram. Then that way they're okay to use in other social media. There are certain ad companies like USNet Ads. It has to be either 800 pixels or 500, what is that diameter? 500 something in diameter before it will be on there. Anything other than that's too big. So all of my Instagram images are too big. I have to downsize them, and I can go back to Canva and do custom dimensions and downsize it. And save it and use it. So there's several different ways that you can use those images. Just remember that on certain places, especially like for Facebook and Instagram, the bigger the image is, the easier it is for people to see it, and it's more of an attention getter.
It's an eyesore sometimes.
No, I saw yours, and if I seen that on Facebook, I'd be like, yeah, I need to look at this and see what the recipe is. So, and sometimes you want it to be bigger so it can be eye-catching. You don't want your images to be too small that people's like, what is that? What does it say? How can it, you want it to be eye-catching. You want it to be clear, and you want it to be something that's going to be appealing. So that was, how you can go in and change the size of your images. That was one of the other things I wanted to say. So that's my conclusion for today. We went way over. We haven't gone over in a long time. So
it was appreciated.
We went over today, but I hope you got something out of it. I hope that it cleared up some questions for you. I'm going to open up now for some Q&A. We have about 10 minutes that we're going to do that. Then we're going to call it a day, so you can go and enjoy your day, create some pages, do some advertising, get on the phone, whatever you need to do for yourself and for your business. So I'm going to open it up for some Q&A.
I have one question.
Yes.
When you were talking about the footnotes or whatever, and you were saying the quotes and stuff, and you were saying if you wanted to, like if you're putting it in your own words or whatever, but if you say, well, David said this, or according to David, then you need to have those footnotes at the bottom so that they can see. Oh, so how would you word it in a sense that you're putting it in your own words without, it's actually coming from one of the stories
you can do. Yeah, if you're doing a straight out story, verbatim, then I would put it in quotes, and then that's where you would do your reference down at the bottom. But most of the time, like with mine, I can say through my research I found this to be true, or through my research I have found scientists that have said this, or people that have came across this information in their research. And I can even mention it, say, Wikipedia, said this is one of the things that is common now, or whatever. I can quote, not really quote, but I can cite where I got the reference from without it actually being a direct reference, because people can always go in and say, well, she got this from Wikipedia. Let me go look at Wikipedia, because you don't want to send links to other sites from your website, because it's taking it away from your content. So that's one of the things why we say paraphrase everything. If you want to use a quote, don't link the quote, just go in and say, you can go research this at, and then put wherever you got it from. Or if it's a direct quote that you did verbatim, then yes, you're going to have to do that, that reference note and put it down at the bottom of your page so they know where you got the exact quote from. And again, you still don't have to link it. You can just put it down there and they can go and research it themselves.
Okay, wait. One of the pages, Wi-Fi free, Fly for Free, the page I'm talking about? Okay, so he was talking about his friend, Eric. And so, when you're trying to say, according to David, and David said about his friend or something like that, that's like quoting what he said, right? Okay, so you have to take that out then.
Yeah, if you're going to do, yeah, that's what we would call a direct reference quote, because you are quoting somebody else's experience.
Okay.
So, you know, and it's still a quote. You can't paraphrase somebody else's quote if you're referencing that. So if you say David's friend, or David said his friend had this opinion, you can't paraphrase their opinion if you've already said somebody else said it. You have to actually do the quote. So if you took that completely out and say, according to my research, I found this statement that someone has said about this product, then you're not really stating who said it, where they said it, but you have found this information based on your research. And then if you want to put in there, you can say, I have researched these companies, and put or research these sites, and tell where you went. You know, hey, I looked on Wikipedia, I looked on Encyclopedia, you know, Britannica, I went on, you know, whatever, and found this information. So you've already given your references, but because you're not doing a direct quote, you don't have to go and cite where you got that exact information, because you're not quoting anything.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any more questions?
Yes.
Okay.
I saw mentioned on one of the chats something about a third option besides opening in a new tab. Do you know
Yes.
what that's about?
If you've done your updates, I got 3. I haven't updated it because I want to make sure they got all the glitches out before I update, because there's been a glitch on one of them. But it will give you 3 options now. Instead of opening in a new tab, it gives you the option to open in media file and something else. They've always been there in Classic. Now they're just there in the block format. So if you ever used a Classic and you tried to do a link, or you did a picture or an image, when you had the drop down, it always said media file, other, or attachments. Well, now it's given the same option in block. You don't need it. You always want to do a custom URL if you're doing a link. Always.
No, is that what Paul used in his webinar the other night when he clicked on media file and when it zooms in?
Yeah, and you don't have to click on it. If you don't link an image, it automatically defaults to media file. So unless you have it to go in and click the link that you want to put in a link in a custom URL, if you just put an image in your web page and you don't link it, it automatically defaults to media file. So they can double click it and expand the image.
Okay, so you don't have to choose that
No,
off.
you don't have to check it off. It automatic. That's the default program for any image you put into your system.
Okay, and I have another question.
Okay.
Featured page. Now, is that an option for every page?
You mean featured image?
Featured image, yes.
Yeah, and you want to click that, and the reason being you want to click that is for your social media. Whenever you've, especially for Facebook, when you put your link in your comments, that featured image means that's the image you want to be associated with your specific page always. The only difference is like I said, because it's on Facebook, even though you click featured image, if it doesn't meet the required ratios for images, it's going to choose the next image that closest matches those ratio proportions. So the featured image, whenever they click on your link or whenever you post your link anywhere, that's the image that's going to show up. Now, if you're in edit mode, that image is going to show at the top of your page. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be on there. Sometimes it stays on there when they go and click on your page. It's there. That's the first thing they see, which is good because it should be an image that represents your page. You don't want your featured image to be clothing when you're talking about fish, you know, or, you know, you don't, when you're talking about coffee, you don't want it to be Bitcoin. So your featured image should be related to the topic you're talking about, and you should always have one.
And now, can you have a featured, if you will, page for your home page, your posts?
Yeah, every page you create should have the option for a featured image.
Okay, so you can do it for your posts. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I do have another question, but I'm not sure this is the right place to ask it, but I'll try. This new thing with the hotspots, the tabs, what is that all about?
They are still working on that. It's going to be, it's sort of like a tracking device. You know, when you put it, the best thing I can say is the security for the no fence for dogs. You ever seen that?
Yes.
It's the same thing, except it's going to be a tab that you can put like on your phone. You can put it, you know, on your iPad. You can put it on your tablets. You know, anything that has airwaves for that can be mined. So you can put that in there, sort of, and it'll be able to track basically your usage of your phone so that you can mine and get Bitcoin for it.
It's more of a keeping track of it type tool as opposed to helping you.
No, it's a mining tool. It's a mining. So right now, if you are if you have a hub and it's mining, anything, you know, your ITOs in your neighborhood, you know, wherever you are, then it's just mining, picking up random stuff. Well, these tabs, based on what I'm reading and learning, is you can have a tab that you're going to be able to attach to your phone. And so anytime you're out and you get a phone call or you're using your phone, it'll mine.
So you'll get Bitcoin by having these tabs.
Yeah.
I thought these tabs were like to keep track of things like your animals and people and like.
Well, that's why I said it's there. Well, it's not.
Get them to put in, you know, she's packing. She's got 2 of those things that you put your stuff in and they transport it for you. She was going to put 1 in each of those to track all her household stuff. And